Good evening, fans. Welcome back to another episode of Blue Jay Tay TV, where I discuss nostalgic TV shows and movies, current issues, and much more. So grab a glass, and you're going to need a big one for this one. Cheers. Okay, so I want to talk about Rick from Degrassi. He wasn't as bad as people made him. Okay, now hear me out. In the beginning, Rick, he was definitely a piece of shit. What he did to Terry, abusing her, that was foul. He deserved an ass whooping and expelled. To give a little bit more of a backstory, Terry McGregor was one of those. She was like a thicker girl. I won't say she was fat, but back then it was fat to us. But yeah, so she met Rick because he was her secret admirer and she finally caught him. And, she was all bummed out about not having a boyfriend. She was interested in Spinner in the very beginning, but then Paige came along, got her drunk, and basically ruined that whole experience. And I have to agree with a YouTube person I follow called Aspen J. So forgive me if I'm not pronouncing that right. And she said, "What the hell kind of spell work did I can't even talk right. Paige do to get Terry away from Spinner so fast?" I definitely agree because I'm like, what? And after rewatching it, because I just got done binging it, episode of seasons that I usually start watching it again, and I was like, yeah, what? I don't get it. I was lost. But that's neither here or there. So basically, she's bummed out. She thinks nobody likes her, and all the girls had boyfriends and dates and things like that. And of course, she thinks that nobody likes her because she's quote unquote fat. So Rick, and side note, he was actually not an ugly person. He was cute to me, but they started dating, and he's kind of overbearing. Like there's a point where they're having a school play, and Jimmy is the director, and Rick kind of is just overbearing with it. He's just kind of like that annoying person that's like, "Oh, I'm better than you. Oh, I've had experience with this. I've had experience with that. So I know more than you." And it was just kind of like, okay, like, are you done? So everybody was becoming annoyed with him. And Hazel, my 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 second born, I was watching that episode and she was watching with me and she was like, "Hazel be on it." I was like, "Yep, hashtag Hazel is always on it." So she was, because she was the first one I picked up on the bruises that Terry was having. So it was very interesting to see that dynamic for sure. So basically what happened after that was, people were asking her, is Rick abusing her? Terry's like, "Oh, mind your business. He just make him angry, blah, blah, blah." And it's just kind of like a big roller coaster story from that point on. Um, she eventually, like a G, says, "Okay, I'm done with you," after he put his hands on her for the last time. Fast forward, I think it was like 2 episodes later, Terry sees Rick and he's all like, "I'm changed. I'm sorry. I miss you, blah, 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 blah." Nobody is trying to hear this. They're kind of like, "Ew, no, like we're not accepting of this relationship." And so basically after that, they go on this like trip to the beach. Nobody wants Rick to go, but Paige is kind of like, "Listen, I don't want to leave the guy alone with her and something bad happens. We're going to put a pin in that." Okay. So they go on this trip, they're having a good time. Basically, Rick is just like sitting on the front of I want to say it's Paige's brother's car. No, I think that was another episode. So I think that was her parents' car. And he's sitting on the front of it. He's like, "Terry, come sit next to me." And she's like, "Rick, I would like it if you not would put dent in the car." And then he's just kind of like, "I'm just sitting here." And it's just kind of escalates into this annoying argument of, "I hate you, you hate me for X, Y, and Z reasons." Now, Rick storms off because Paige calls him a psycho. That set him off. Terry freaks out on Paige because she's like, "Yeah, you're always bossing me around, blah, blah." And Terry, you know what? Honestly, the stuff that Rick did say about Paige, like calling her an evil backstabber or stuff like that, I mean, she really was. Like, I don't get me wrong, Paige is funny, but she got very annoying in her early stages of Degrassi. So Terry goes after him. She's like, "You know what? Let's go back. We're going to ignore them. So on the other side." He's like, "No, let's just walk." And she's like, "That's far," which I'm like, come on now, Rick. Walking? Really? So, you know, they end up, one thing leads to another, and Rick's like shaking her, like, you're not. And then like, I guess he like pushed her kind of. So he like released her and she fell and hit the back of her head. So he's like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? Eventually, Paige convinces Spinner to go look for Terry. They find Rick and Terry. He's like holding her, I guess, trying to wake her up. And they look like, oh my gosh. Rick takes off. So I get that he's a teenager, but and maybe he's afraid of getting beat up. I'd rather get beat up than take off and be like, and go to jail or something like that, being accused of murdering somebody or something. So I just didn't get the take off moment. I mean, I kind of did, like I said in the beginning, because he's a teenager, but it's like when people like accidentally kill people in movies and they're like, oh, we have to dump the body and never speak of it again. And it's like, that person isn't coming back. It's not like you accidentally killed a cat on the street. Like, you just can call animal control and just say it was there. You literally took somebody's life. I never get that arc in shows or movies. And those kind of things happen a lot. Like, even that happened with Sean when he hit that guy on the accident with him and Peter were street racing. I just did not. Why did he take off? Lord. So, regardless, Rick, he's like removed from school. Everybody hates him. There was this moment I want to speak on really quickly where his mom, like, they're like, I think it was like, I want to say it was Spinner who was like kind of antagonizing him, like basically like, what do you want to do? Like, fight me, psycho. And his mom like walked up and she's like, stop. And she's like, stay away from my son. She's like, both of you. And you could hear like the heartbreak in her voice. And younger me was like, fuck that guy. Okay, what do you mean? But me being older, me being a mom, I felt where she was coming from, where it was kind of like that. I know my son is messing up really badly. This is some egregious mess, but that's my child and I care about his safety. Maybe there's something about his parents that we didn't know about. Maybe his dad used to be abusive, like how Craig's dad was. There was just so much unexplained in that moment. And I think I kind of like that they left it like that, because it left us to be like, well, why was she so protective of her son knowing he's legitimately crazy? Like, hello, he was abusive. Like, you usually hear about abusive relationships, but you usually hear about them in your adult years, not when you're a teenager. So there's that. Well, some relationships are abusive as teenagers, but you don't know. You know, it's a little different when you know somebody's being beat up by somebody. So fast forward. I want to. Did he come back before that? I think. No, yeah, no, I don't think Rick came back. He did. He popped up for an episode where they was having this car wash, and then everybody was like, "No, get out of here," blah 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 blah. So that was kind of like a whatever moment. He finally comes back. When Rick came back, I do also agree with my girl Aspen J. Why did his mother and Mr. Radich think that shit was a good idea? Him, I get it. He's like, I want to redeem myself. Everybody else who's clearly an adult, I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. So let me just say this. Rick comes back very nicely. Okay? He's very humble. He's being thoroughly abused by everybody. Like, people are pushing him, throwing him and Spinner and Jimmy threw him in a dumpster. People were, I think somebody stepped on his glasses. Like, it was just the most craziest outcome. There was a whole campaign set up against him because of nosy ass Emma. Oh my gosh, I can't stand her. And I just, for the life of me, back then I didn't give a shit. I didn't care. I was like, so what? Whoop his ass again. But he genuinely showed that he had changed. Even, like I said, he could have attacked everybody at that point. It wouldn't even have mattered. And even when Emma tripped him and he looked at her like crazy and he went to get up and Jay had grabbed him and said, let's go outside. I think that he probably was really angry. I don't know if he was going to necessarily hit her. I think that's what they wanted us to feel, like he was going to hit her. But either way you look at it, I mean, listen, I do not condone any type of violence or abuse on any way, shape, or form. But you hit me, I'm hitting you back. That's all I have to say. So realistically, if he did get up and push Emma out the chair, she would have deserved it, because Nobody told you to trip me. And she did all that just because she wanted to stay cool with her quote unquote fake friends. So it's just kind of like, I don't know why I put quote unquote under fake friends, but her fake friends. I don't know why she thought that was a good idea. And especially because she was trying to lay off the bullying and all that stuff. But it was like finally at that moment when Jay was like whooping his ass and like everybody was trying to beat his ass, where she just finally was like, no, that's enough. And when Rick looked up at her, like clench it over and hole in his stomach, it was so sad. It really was, because this poor boy is like, I'm a changed person. I've been in therapy for my anger issues and things like that. And I just felt like that was rude. And then also I felt like Emma being like cool with him afterwards. I felt like she was really cool with him, and then like even participated in him and Toby's little kissing game. But I feel like when he was displaying affection towards her, she kind of was like, oh. And that's fine that she didn't like him, but she should have told him, as opposed to when he finally did kiss her and she was all like, ugh. Like she was an ass towards him. Like, and then when he was like, I thought you liked me, and she's like, I felt sorry for you, and pushed him away. Like it was ridiculous. But we're gonna get to what happened after that in a minute. So I want to talk about his arc of coming back. He was, like I said, he was nice. He was very friendly towards people. Everybody in the school hated him except for Darcy, because apparently she was unaware of the hatred. But Toby didn't have like any friends. Everybody just kind of like, Toby had a very bad like experience in Degrassi. But yeah, so basically he was just abandoned by everybody, including JT, which I felt like, damn, JT, really? But so they became friends, and it was honestly a really cool friendship for me to see him and Toby. And like it was like they were so cool together. They were just like really besties. So basically what ended up happening after that was, you know, even Jimmy, like Jimmy's a great guy, so he stopped bullying him. He became cool with him. They got involved in the Watch Your Brain contest. It's like some type of, you know, like Guts or Double Dare 2000 for those of us who are born in the 90s. But so yeah, everything was great. And then Jay and Spinner had a falling out because Spinner wouldn't stop messing with him. I freaking hated Spinner, especially in this episode. It took a long time for me to like him. But yeah, so they get into the contest, you know, and then they won. Rick is like, you know, he did it, blah blah blah. Everybody's happy, and then these paint and feathers come down, and everybody just bust out laughing. And I'm just like, I don't know, maybe my humor wasn't that childish in high school because I didn't think nothing about it was funny. I was just like, I'd have been like, what the hell, like. But basically, Jay and Spinner and Alex did this. I think Alex helped them set it up because she was vice president, but for sure they actually were the ones that did it. So Rick's pissed off. You know, he goes home, gets a gun. Crazy shit. Okay, so he comes back to school, and Toby's like, listen, you could just take the day, because he comes back to school in the same clothes he had on. Toby's like, dude, you could take the whole day off. And Rick's like, this is the one time I want to be at school. And I agree with that guy, which is THT guy. I follow him on YouTube as well. He is hilarious. That was the most chilling thing I ever heard, because it was just like, whoa, like honestly, if I was Toby, I would have went to Raditch. And be like, yo, I don't know about my mans. Like, so he's talking to Paige, because Paige walks up to him and is like, just telling him how she think it's childish and she thought it was messed up. And she unwillingly saved her own life, okay? Because he was getting ready to shoot her ass right there in the damn calf. Like, it was about to be a wrap for her. So he goes to the bathroom. He puts his book bag away with the gun, goes to the bathroom. I guess he's just kind of like, oh, well, I don't have to kill nobody. Cool. Here comes the most frustrating part ever. Jay and fucking Spinner come into the bathroom, and Jay's like, right as your nose, man. Spinner's like, right as your nose, man. And Jay looks around, he's like, oh, I see all this paint and feathers. I see his shoes. He's like, yeah, about Jimmy. So basically, they put all this blame on Jimmy. And again, you think he's a psycho. Why would you put the blame on Jimmy? That was one of the biggest things that pissed me off about that whole freaking episode. So he's pissed off because he's like, yo, that's my dog. Walks up to Jimmy. He's like, so Jimmy's like, hey, dude, I got your back. That's crazy. Da 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 da. We're going to get these guys. And he's all like, yeah, da 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 da. He's like, you set me up. I'm just paraphrasing, y'all. I'm not going through that whole spiel. So he pulled out his gun. This motherfucker, Jimmy, talking about, is that real? I would never ask somebody with a gun if it's real. Sorry, Jimmy. Love you. That was the dumbest shit you ever said. Because what? Like, but Rick's like, you made me do this. And Jimmy like backs up kind of like, oh. And then he finally, like when Rick closed his ass, turned his head around, he took off running. Honestly, he should have just jumped in. He should have just grabbed the gun and just kind of shot up in the air a couple times because he had his eyes closed. What the fuck was he going to do? But anyway, so Jimmy got shot. That shit made me tear up immediately the first time I saw that shit. It did. And then that's when, Craig saw him. And Craig wasn't even supposed to be there. He was sick. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that fucked him up. But yeah, so everybody's running, and then there's Sean, Toby, and Emma. I don't know why they didn't take off running, because I sure the hell would have. Secondly, I don't know why nobody didn't scream gun while they were running. Hello? Give me the crucial warning that I need. Either way you look at it. He runs into them three, and, he's telling Emma, like, I thought you liked me, but you was just playing with me. And then Toby's like, dude, no. And then he's like, I have to do this. And then Sean's like really trying to talk him down. And it seemed like he's kind of getting it. He's like, nope, I already shot somebody. He pointed me on straight at Emma. Her face looked like she really thought she was going to get shot in real life. I was like, good acting on Miriam, because Jesus, she looked like she was really going to get shot. So Sean's tussling with the gun with him, trying to get it off him. And then the gun goes off. So we hear Toby scream no, but we don't know, like both Sean and Rick, both eyes bugged out their damn head. We skim past all the other boring parts. Fast forward to Toby getting interviewed by this lady, and she's like, what did the gunman say anything before he died? And Toby just was like, died? Because he didn't know he died. And now it was crazy. It was sad to have Rick's life end like that. So one of the reasons that I feel like that is because when he came back, the whole school, including Raditch, was the cause of his death, Jimmy's paralysis, and Emma's emotional breakdown. Because let's be real, he came to Raditch, and Raditch is all like, oh, well, let me know if something serious happens. I mean, my man just got thrown in a dumpster, but okay. And he's telling you that he's being bullied, and you're not listening to him. You didn't give him a chance. You didn't even try to help him. Had Rick got help from somebody when he was being abused and bullied, I feel like he would have never done that. Don't get me wrong. I feel like he still had some things with him mentally, because, I mean, not everybody who's pissed off goes to get a gun and shoot somebody. However, that bullying was like months and months of bullying. We're talking about every day I'm at school, I'm being beat up, tortured. That would take anybody over the edge, and then, like I said, the way Emma treated him that same day after he got the paint poured on him, it's like, come on, dude, like, you were an asshole, like, you know what I mean? I am like Rick in some ways, most ways, and I don't mean that say I'm gonna go kill somebody. I'm saying I have mental health issues, and mental health abuse can take a toll on you. Seriously, it can really make you lose your mind, and that's the point of what I was trying to make about Rick not being like, he was an abuser who started getting abused, if you will. JT, as much as I love him, definitely pissed me off the way he treated Rick. Like, he was just really annoying, like, honestly. Oh, and I know that Jimmy knew that that Jay and Spitter did the paint and feathers thing, because he kind of told him, and Jimmy kind of like really slashed out on him. So I just wish Jimmy would have confessed that Spinner did it. That way Rick would have lived and Jimmy wouldn't be paralyzed. So sorry, I got stuck. But Yeah, like if he would have said that, that would have not created the chain of events that happened afterwards. I feel like he waited way too long. Um, like I said, Rick took a beating, being viciously bullied to the point that he cracked. You know, again, going back to what I said earlier, I think it was too soon for him to come back to Degrassi. But since he did, something should have been done about his bullying. Like, seriously. Like, nobody helped him. He was left helpless. I see this all the time. And I say that part about me understanding Rick in a certain way because I know I haven't been bullied per se. I've known people that have. And also, but in a way, I'll say mentally bullied, I guess you would say. And the reason why I say that is because when a person's crying out for help and you're just kind of like, no, bye, go away. Like, that's mental health abuse to me because you're taking advantage of somebody's moment of weakness. And I feel like a lot of people did that to Rick. So if, oh yeah, even with Toby, because Toby was being, still after his death, you know, people like lashed out, like especially JT, like, fuck you, dude. He lashed out on Toby. Like, you left him high and dry, and that was his only friend. And you can't even say that Rick did anything the whole time when he came back. That was the point that I was trying to make. He came back and did nothing. Nothing. And y'all created a hellhole for him. And shout out to Simpson because he was the only one willing to take on Radish for not doing what the fuck he was supposed to do. And I hate when Spike cuts him. Her and Emma are so much alike in some ways. Listen, I understand Emma's traumatized, but he needed that fucking talking to. He needed his ass whooped for real. But that's neither here or there. My last point I'm going to talk about is I hated the way Ellie treated Sean's departure. Like, he left her for no reason. Like, the way she just got in the car and was like, ah! I'm like, he killed somebody on the accident. And he's being pressured to talk about it like he's like this big hero. It's a lot for him. Like, as much as I really loved Ellie, she had moments where I was just like, shut up. I promise you, she had a lot of them moments. Like, seriously. So, in conclusion, like I said, Rick, he wasn't the villain that we think he is. That is Peter, but that's a conversation for another day. So with that being said, thanks again for listening. Have a good night. Stay sweet, stay awesome. I love you guys, and I will talk to you guys soon. Cheers.